Good afternoon everyone. So today we're at Peugeot 2009 and it's a 207. I'll tell you what's wrong with the weather's that hot here today. It's hit 31 degrees here in Scotland. Unbelievable. The problem with this mean machine is, well, it's never done it with us, but misfiring, we assume, because they said there was a lot of black smoke came out the tailpipe, and one morning it would not start, so we've just had a bit story. So anyway, here's the fault codes: a P0597, control thermostat, control consistency or open circuit; P0563, battery voltage too high; P0494, status of fan assembly coherence, that'll just be the fan for, what do you call it, radiator fan; and P11AA, intake manifold pressure signals, sensor signal coherence. So I'll let you see what we found just with a visual. There is absolutely no coolant, so that would be our controlled, what do you call it, coolant thermostat circuit, I would imagine, which is in here, and I believe this is the same setup as the Mini. Sometimes see that low pressure fault in the intake, that can be due to a dipstick being left out, so you always got to watch that. But what we always kind of do, a general rule of thumb, you must fix what you know is wrong with it, then take it for there, because you could be chasing your tail forever and a day. The other thing I think on this one is coils or coil packs, whatever it's got in it. No too sure. But I think we'll maybe just top it up with coolant and pressure test it and take it for there. The other thing it goes, the pump, that's a funny pump assembly at this side here already. We've had them. The funny wheel type thing, eh?
That's right.
Tensioner on them.
Aye.
Had that as well, so. We jumped into generic OBD, and the only one that really comes up means anything is the P0597 thermostat. So let's try mode 6, see if there are any misfire data. Gas sensor, they're all okay. So here we go, it says it's okay, but let's read how many misfires. You can see okay, but so TID result, what's that? Standard value 0. So you said a total, I would imagine, test value 3 and 2. Don't know what that means. Let's go to the next list. 3 and 4. 3 and 1. So many misfires there. And 3 and 1. So very little misfires. So what the black smoke or the missing they're complaining about, I do not know. Certainly could maybe be overheating, no sure. Right, we'll fill it up with coolant and give it a run. Everything looks okay. So after we cleared the codes, we gave it a short run, and bingo, this one came back first. Then it was this one, I think, and then this one came back last. But here's a funny thing. We looked at the data, where it was, air intake, here we go, relative reference measured. Right, go to these two. What it actually measures is 10 millibar, and its reference is 50 millibar. So this is the one we're actually measuring. And that's too low, that should be at least 30 millibar. Although the car says it looks for 50 millibar, which to me seems awful high. So I think maybe the sensor is kaput, because I'll let you hear, the thing seems to idle fine. There you go, it seems fine. The other thing, it doesn't seem to be lean either, it seems to be switching. In fact, we'll look at the data. So I think the sensor for the manifold, I think it's at the back here somewhere, if I can recall. This, and we'll go fuel and emissions. Select all. Battery voltage is okay, coolant's at 99 degrees. Try to cool it down here, down to 80. Cylinder 1, 2, 3. That percentage okay. Downstream's high, that's okay. Oh, downstream's an open leak, says it's weak. Well, then again it says that's weak as well. Upstream lambda says it's slightly rich, I would say that figure there. But we're in closed loop. So to me that is good. Let's go into this one here. never understood their figures. But I know this is a millivolt, a milliamp reading one. So let's measure the vacuum and intake manifold to see if we've got a good 18 inches and then that sensor's wrong. So we tried to bi-directionally control the fan because we're sitting here at idle and it's looking for 88 degrees and the temperature's not coming down and the fan is not coming on. So we traced the fan fuse into this box, and you can see here there's fuses along the front of it. You've got to pull it out its housing. But none of our diagrams match up with what's on this one. But we checked these fuses, they all seem good. So my money's on the actual controller of this fan, which I think has 3 wires to control the assembly. So I would assume that's kaput if we have power and ground. So we'll have to go after that. We'll have to put a thermostat in it, and I think we'll have to put a map sensor in it. And it also needs a wheel bearing. So I'm chasing this fan now, and I'm kind of suspecting it's this module. So I've took the multi-plug out the bottom. Now you can see that I'm on battery positive and my battery terminal for my test light, and I'm going down through this blue wire, which must be the negative because it lights my test lamp. Now I'll put my battery clamp to battery negative and just check to see if it works, and then we'll go down through the white wire. As you can see, that ain't got no power. So even with the engine running, in fact I'll just show you that. There we go, that's got no power. And neither's that one, so to me, that should have a permanent power. So we're missing a power. Back again to this fuse box, if we can find it. Hopefully you can see this. We've put a T-pin into that white wire. And we go down with our power probe. Roddy, you want to do the scan tool, lad? Or you want to do the probe?
Yeah,
right, just get if we rock it forward, we get power. So Roddy just got to go into that pin. You alright, lad? Or you can use it. I'll just get my. So what he's doing, sorry, is giving that power, right? And you flick it forward, right? And I'll go into the scan tool, and I'll go low speed fan. It's in progress. Then you can hear this fan spin up. So there's nothing wrong with the fan, there's nothing wrong with this box, but the very fact that this thing can communicate with this box here. So we simply have power. We need to trace back that big 70 amp power supply. Right, so back in here again. Right, so what we've tried down here, we reckon this is MF1, which is a fuse for the fan. And look, it's missing. The fuse fairy has been active again. And we went into the car, and look what we found. So, there's a story to this one, so let's put this in. And we'll try the scan tool again. Low speed. That's it. So how the hang did that ever get out of there?
That was inside the other fuse box.
I can.
Right.
So we reckon there must be a story to this. That the fan's not running constantly, so let's stop it. So we just need to take this a test drive and see if it's going to do this again. The other thing we spoke about was changing the thermostat. We're going to run it first, because as ever with these things, we're losing water and we had to top it back up. So at least we've got the fan working. Now as you can hear, the fans are running under full boona. They're running all the time now, even though the car's not at operating temperature. You can see the car is only at 77 degrees, so that should be up at 80. And it's trying to control that fan setting there, even though that thermostat is kaput. But the reasons the fans are on, and we've seen this before in certain Peugeots, is because there's fault codes. And I reckon it's either, well, I think it's this one that's bringing the fan on. Sometimes on Vauxhalls, this one here is just a code, but the thermostat is still working. And the very fact that the engine's keeping cool, the thermostat's still working, but the internals are no working. So we're going to go after this one, which is no reading right. And I'll show you. We've located the map sensor. It's in here. So it's difficult to get this shot. I would believe it's held in with a torch, but it's round the back there. So I've pulled the multi-plug off it, so let's see if it comes up with a new diagnostic code. Ah, there we go, we've pulled the right one. So it's intake manifold pressure sensor signal. So that tells me that I'm on the right area, but the thing's actually idling worse, isn't it? Right, we need to go into there and measure what the vacuum is. Right, so we've located the map sensor. You see it ducks under there, held on with an 8mm bolt. There it's there. So what we've done, we've put a trusty vacuum gauge over it with our special top secret connection. I can't even tell you where I could tell you in a few weeks because she packs her job in. Right, so we're over that and we're going to apply 20 inches of vacuum to it. But we need to plug it back into the car first and see what it reads, because we're not sure if it's low vacuum. We don't think it's low vacuum because it seems pretty good. Or is it this? It's calibrated wrong. So when we pull 20 inches, we should get a reading of 30 millibar. Then we need to put the battery back in this thing because we've half destroyed it. So you can see we've got our gauge connected to it, and we're drawing 20 odd inches of mercury, and on my measured value on my scan tool it's reading 0. So yesterday it only got to 10. We'll keep pumping that already, see if we can get a reference on it at all. Nothing. So that indeed is kaput, that thing there. Although we need to verify they've got powers and grounds on the wires, so we need 5 volts a ground. In fact, maybe need 2 5 volts because that's got a temperature sensor within it. I'm going to tell you the truth here. With us taking it out, putting it back in, the thing started working again. So that's spot on at the moment. We kind of suspected maybe this cap, but we've seen it like that, but that wasn't the problem. You can see it drops if there's an air leak. Aye, it's kind of like that, eh? But then it does come back up. And that's perfect. So that sensor started working. That code will maybe be back because I've had that off. Let's see. So that one's just coming back now, so we're not getting the map sensor code anymore. The quest goes on. If it comes back, I'll tell you if I've renewed it in the video. Update. Doing this test with the car not running is meaningless because you can see that we're pulling 20 inches of vacuum and it's not even working. So a waste of time, that test.